and welcome to No Such Thing as a Bad Movie podcast. I am April Atmansky, and I am here today with...
Justin DeClue.
And Colin Cunningham.
How's it going?
Pretty good, you know. Hey, Justin, you know...
you know what Colin's doing, because...
Yeah.
But for me, yeah, it's the same. I don't leave my apartment too much. I got a new bike, so I've been riding around. That's pretty much it. So exciting.
The city is open for business. As of today, Toronto is in phase 2, which means... patios are open.
Did you see those videos of people that were like lined up to get on the patios when the clock struck midnight?
Yeah, to get into like Hemingway's in like Yorkdale or something.
No masks, no social distancing.
No.
Listen, the virus is gone, man. We don't have to worry about it anymore.
I think like patios are they're killing a lot of the seats. So there's like every other seat is open or something like that. And a lot of them are doing it by reservation only, I think. So people aren't like lining up.
Well, I'm not
I knew
ready.
there'd be idiots
I'm not
at
ready
midnight.
yet.
Yeah, you guys are patio kings.
We were. We once...
we once were in a distant land.
Patio. I haven't heard that word in a long time. But no, we have a little back patio, and I've been out there, so I'm going to be there for a little bit because, like I said, I'm not ready.
Does Colin play like the waiter, and he's like, "Would you like an order, please, man?"
I've been building benches.
I
just built a second bench today for the. I've been doing some woodworking.
So we got our own thing going.
Yeah,
on.
this is like the first year. I swear to God, I've lived in this place like. Almost
15
almost 20
years. 84 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time, and I swear like this summer has been, you know, I've used the back patio more than I have in this entire time.
Yeah, because we can't go out walking. I mean, you can, but I prefer not to. But if you do go out, wear a mask. That's what I did today, and I went and I bought more flowers. So we got flowers, we got an umbrella, we got benches, we got everything we need on our little,
herb garden.
You got a little bar, and you got a Live in Health that serves you drinks.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. So that's COVID update Toronto.
Well, concerning the movie that we watched for this episode, what have you been doing Canadian ish during this time, or even recently? Have you been knocking back some Molson brews?
Yeah, some brews, watching the Jays game.
Too good for that. But Colin puts maple syrup in his coffee, so
he does.
There you go.
No, here's the thing. So
it's supposed to be a secret, April.
we get groceries delivered, and I always order this agave syrup instead of sugar. I put it in my coffee, and it's been out the entire time. So every time we get grocery deliveries, they kind of like will sub in stuff. So they gave us a little bottle of maple syrup last time. So
I looked in the stores. No agave there either. I don't know.
That sounds very fancy. Colin will only drink his coffee with agave.
Agave syrup.
So we
There's
watched probably the most Canadian thing since Things.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Maybe the most Canadian thing ever made?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I heard about this, like Peter Kaplowski, our friend, retweeted somebody saying, hey, this movie is on Tubi, and do your Canadian duty and watch it. So I watched the trailer.
Maybe Andrew Barr said that?
Probably, yeah. I can't remember. But I looked up the trailer, and I said, April, we have to do this. And I think it was my choice. But
I had already been aware of Phobe because it played in Toronto. Justin, you played it at one of your film festivals, right? Now,
yeah,
was this
me and Peter Kaplowski, he's the one who discovered it at the What the Film Festival. And so a little bit of backstory on this movie. It was made in 1995 by a bunch of people, actually just one person that worked at a TV station in the Niagara, St. Catharines region. And so they made this movie with their friends. It took a year to make. It played all the time on the community TV station. It never got a VHS release.
That's right.
And so someone saw it and was like, what the heck is this? Taped it off television because it's been playing, no joke, for 20 years on that station.
Yeah, they said they just used it anytime they needed filler on the station, like to kill time between shows.
So there's a generation of people who've been seeing this on TV for years.
For people that don't know, there's CanCon rules in Canada that like 30% of things need to be Canadian. So that's one of the ways that you can just like fill times. Like, oh, Phobe is Canadian. We don't have to pay for it. We can just play it on stuff like Rogers and other stations
And
like
that goes with radio too, which is why you hear so much Sloan.
I was about to say Sloan.
Sloan and
So
Nickelback.
much Sloan.
I bet you all our listeners don't even know who Sloan is. But you know what? They're pretty good.
Yeah, I like Sloan.
They're a Canadian alternative band.
They did a concert movie that I was at, that somebody gave me tickets at. Yeah, so I don't know where it is. I've never seen it, but
You could
like
be
they
in
filmed
it.
it all with like cameras on jibs and stuff like that. I'm in that audience, and I
Oh.
recognized almost every one of their songs, but I could not name one of the titles of them.
Yeah, it's one of the again because they were just on the radio constantly.
You know what? Like Max Webster or what's his name? We just said
Kim Mitchell.
Kim Mitchell.
Kim Mitchell.
It's cottage rock.
Yes,
This is the
they're
stuff.
kind of
I knew
cottage
Sloan.
rock.
Every time I would go up to my friend's cottage in the summer, it would the playlist would just be Sloan and Kim Mitchell.
And then later generations, it would be like Sam Roberts. You don't know Sam Roberts?
That was past my time.
Oh, well, he's just another like generic Canadian guy who was on TV all the time.
I mean, didn't we talk a lot about Billy Talent a few episodes ago?
Yeah.
Yep, that's another one.
And
but
so
back to
this
Phobe.
Canadian film, just to finish the story, the person who taped it off the television gave it to Peter, and he's like, "Whoa, what is this?" And Peter reached out to the filmmaker of this movie, Erica Benedicti, and she said, "Oh yeah, I'm working on like a remastered version of it, and that's what we played in the cinema what the film
2015, I think.
Yeah, 2015. And the programmer of Intervision saw it there, and that's why he decided to release it on DVD, and that's how the world has it now.
Whoa,
That's
so it's
hilarious.
because of you and Peter that this is on DVD now.
Yes.
Wow.
That's amazing.
I didn't even
That's
know
so
that when I
cool.
watched it. Was it part of like did it play like in one of the evening slots or was it one of the day
It
slots?
played in the middle of the day on a Saturday.
Okay, I thought so. I think
Mm-hmm.
that was that the same day that you also played Things? Or am I thinking of a different
I don't think
year?
so. I don't think we've ever played things at What the Film Fest. We
You
just
did,
did it as
yeah.
a normal laser blast.
You did it at Dundas Video. It was at a separate location.
Yeah,
We
it was
did it
after,
at that was the
Science
day-
Crazed.
That was the
Pay
pay
to
to leave
leave.
marathon we did.
So
We
Phobe wasn't
played
part of that.
No deposit, Science Crazed, and Things. You paid $5 to get in, and if you stayed the entire time, you got $5 when you left.
Yeah, me and Colin
Pay to
went, and we only caught like the last 15 minutes of Science Crazed,
Yeah.
and we were like, oh my God, this is terrible. And we were sitting at the bar, and the bartender was like, why would anyone watch this? Like, I just don't get it. And then, of course, we watched Things and had a great time.
Yeah, I was live texting with my friends. Oh my God, I'm watching Things. They were very aware of
Well,
it.
maybe we should watch Science Crazed on this podcast so we can say we've done all three of the movies you showed that day.
I mean, Science Crazed is mostly a guy just breathing the entire time.
Oh no.
Just his chest going up and down, but we can do it. I have the DVD of it that was put out by Vietnamicon, the same people who put out Ryan's Babe.
Right.
Classic. We got to do that movie.
But yeah, sorry. What was the company that released Phobe again?
It was Intervision, which is part of Severin. So they put out a
Severin, right.
DVD of it with like commentary and making ofs and stuff like that. So we'll mention it again at the end of the episode, but that's the version that if you want to watch it, it's easily available on like Amazon or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
or
that's the
it just-
version that's on Tubi.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
they
I mean,
probably
just go to
put it up
Tubi.
there.
It's free. It's free to watch. Tubi's like a treasure trove of
Bad movies.
all these movies I've never heard of.
So what is Things about? Who wants to describe it? Colin?
What is Phobe?
Phobe,
about?
the
Phobe about, yeah.
Phobe, the Xenophobic Experiments. So basically, it's. If I had to describe it, I told my friends it's like Galaxy Invader, the Don Dohler movie,
Oh, yeah.
mixed with Things, mixed with Space Cop.
And Abraxas a little
And
bit.
Abraxas.
Don't forget Predator and The
Yes.
Terminator.
The
I was saying
Terminator,
Terminator
definitely.
last night when we
Yeah.
watched it. I was like, it kind of has more than a little bit
Yeah.
to do with the Terminator.
So it's like
and
this-
a little bit of Star Wars, as we'll get into.
It's got everything. It's basically like this schlubby future cop has to go back in time to capture this alien creature.
The Phobe.
I mean, I guess it's technically like Red Letter Media's movie, except for real and not ironic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like played straight with no jokes.
Like there are parts where I'd swear they were shooting in the Red Letter Media like office.
Well, they shot a lot of it at the TV station where they work. So, like, at one point, they go into a warehouse and have a sword fight and
a lightsaber fight, you mean.
if you will. And it's just the TV station.
Yeah.
And then I was like, because I wasn't sure at the start, like that was one of the locations, because like they go to like grandpa's shed or whatever, and then it's just the TV station.
It's like a weird dimensional portal that so many doors just lead to this TV station.
Yeah, and then they even like the future cop headquarters at the beginning, there's clearly like an editing bay.
Yeah,
that's
and they're
the
all
TV
working
station.
on Amiga 2000s.
That's like part of the charm of it. Like all of these like regular Joe locations that, you know, we could probably get if we tried, and I heard that infamously this movie cost $250.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would believe that. They got all the gear from the TV station.
For free, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of the props are like paintball guns. They did pay a theatrical company to buy a bunch of explosions, which are throughout this movie.
Oh yeah,
Right,
that's the
practical
good thing.
explosions.
Practical pyro.
Plus, like they had
great.
to buy the costumes at the Army surplus store.
Well, I wonder because there's a scene where they actually go into the Army surplus
Oh yeah,
store.
that's where
and
they
hide
got
out.
all of their equipment. The deal they made with the locations is that they would put like a thank you at the end of the credits.
Huge full
And,
page thank you.
You know, as the director points out in the commentary I listened to, she's like, oh, you know, it played all the time, so it was like a giant advertising thing for all of these places.
Yeah, it's pretty smart. And like we're not talking about just like a scroll that goes past on the screen. These are full page thank yous with like phone numbers and locations, address, everything.
address, yeah.
Well, let's get right into it. So
we start media res in a giant action scene.
a giant action scene / paintball game.
In the woods, and I was
Yeah.
I was a little worried. I was like, oh no, is the whole movie going to be in the woods? You know, and it's not. They got locations, as we just mentioned.
Yeah, that's the kind of mainstay of these no budget movies. It's
Yeah,
like, oh, it's a
like
sci-fi
Galaxy
fiction.
Invader and stuff like that.
Or it's like a science fiction film. And it's like, oh, it's all set in the woods. It's like, you know, those Star Wars fan films.
Yeah, and like any low budget movie, you know, it's free to shoot in the woods.
Man, I wish
so-
we had woods near us that were like big and nobody would bother us.
Where'd you shoot Teddy Bomb? The woods scenes.
Near my house, where I lived at the time, the wood scene, and right by a path that so many people walked by. That location is famous that people would come and ask us, like, is everything okay? And at one point, a dog ate all of the snacks we brought.
Oh no, all of them?
Yeah.
So that's what you're dealing with when you're doing a low budget film in Canada or anywhere really.
And that's
Yeah.
the last time you brought puppy chow to craft
Oh
service.
yeah, like all the dog food. I'm like, it's not even less expensive. I just like the taste of it more.
It was for all the actors. Eat it, you pigs.
But like, this is the Niagara region. So for people that don't like know Canada, this is like not the big city or anything like that.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
people have heard of Niagara Falls, but like
Yes.
the Niagara region, there's a lot of wine country in Niagara.
Yeah.
But this is basically shot in like rural Ontario.
Yeah.
Essentially.
And boy, do the accents show.
I think somebody on Letterboxd, Carlo, said that it's like pouring maple syrup into your ears.
I would say so, yeah. Like, I mean, we're from Canada, and yes, I have heard people talk like this, but we could not stop like repeating every
Every
line
line.
that they
So the-
said because
the
it
accents
was
were
just so Canadian.
They're so good. What is it? One of the girls says, if you change your mind about going, like,
Oh, they say a boot a lot.
yeah,
in
it's
this
a
movie.
boot, and like, oh my God, it's so funny. So we open up, it's like a space cop guy is stalking somebody through the woods. It looks like you're in the midst of a paintball game or something like
Oh
that.
yeah, there's some guy in a ghillie suit running around, and he will make many appearances.
Yeah,
Is
it was,
that the Phobe?
yeah, that's
the
that kind of
Phobe.
camo suit.
Okay, I didn't know it was called a ghillie suit. All I know is that's what Pottersville guy wore.
Yeah, it's what snipers wear. I
Maynard
think.
and from Pottersville.
Any kind of
Oh,
hunters.
everybody knows the classic Michael Shannon character from the Bigfoot film Pottersville.
Yeah, it's like camo, but it's like wearing like a bush kind of.
I think it's you can put like leaves and twigs and stuff in it, so then you can kind of blend in with the background and stuff like that. But you know, everybody is wearing, which you know we've all been to army surplus stores. It looked like every costume
camo
in this movie
jacket.
is from an army surplus store, and they have I think one of the girls, it's supposed to be on another planet in the future. One of the girls has like, they all have Canadian flags on the left shoulder.
Because that's what's on those real jackets, and
Yeah.
I had a jacket like that.
Did you?
Yeah, I
Were
did.
you like
I wore it all the
Linda
time.
Cardinelli? I can't say her last
Linda
name. Cardinelli
Cardellini.
and Freaks and Geeks, and you had like an army jacket.
Linda Cardellini. I wore it in the Impossible Horror teaser thing that we shot.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea what happened to that jacket, though. I don't remember throwing it out.
I had the exact one, and I wore it in high school to and from work or to school every day.
Nobody understands me, man. Let me wear this cool army jacket.
Yeah, and then someone said I looked like a Nazi, and then I took it off.
I mean, you were a teenager around that Freaks and Geeks era, so
Well, I never watched that show.
it takes place in the 70s.
It's like the late
I thought you meant
70s.
when the show came out.
No, yeah.
but-
I guess that's more like the late 90s.
Yeah,
So
so-
after this big action scene, we go and
Well,
meet
hold
our
on-
hero,
hold on a
Sergeant
second.
Gregory Dapp.
Well, something happens during this action scene, which is Gregory Dapp, our hero, loses one of his partners who we kind of find out later it's insinuated that it was like his girlfriend,
lover.
His lover.
Yeah. Well, we don't know how space cops work. Maybe they have like multiple lovers and they don't believe in marriage. We're also introduced to a very important element of this film, which is the rocket launcher going off.
Oh, yeah.
AKA a actual like rocket module that you would use for like, like the rocket you'd shoot up in the air.
Yeah, like model rockets. I was telling
Yeah.
April about that.
Speaking
last
of
night.
freaks and geeks,
Yeah, I
They
thought
did
it was
that in
like
an
a.
episode.
I thought it was a bottle rocket. They just like lit
Yeah.
and stuck inside.
it could have been, yeah.
Yeah.
Supposedly it was very dangerous, and on one of the takes, the rocket actually came back towards the person.
Oh no, were they okay?
Yeah, they're fine. Nobody got hurt. Even though some of those explosions, it looks like the person is like catching fire.
Oh yeah,
These
There's-
people are very close to these. They're small, but they're live. They look like little mini fireworks going on.
Yeah, it's one thing
Yeah.
I have to say I appreciated was the practical explosions and pyro. I think that's going to be my favorite thing throughout this movie, but they don't really skimp on that, which is really cool.
Oh no, there's so many, and they're like in like cities and stuff like that. They're
Yeah.
just letting them go
Yeah,
off.
like because they go downtown at one point, and when we say downtown, like it's again, like it's a very very small town downtown. But they still light off these little explosions,
Yeah.
on the street and on the parking garage and stuff. Like they're doing it.
I'm sure all like guerrilla style, but they've kind of enhanced them. I don't know if this is part of the 2015 kind of remaster, but some of them have like additional kind of sparks that are just like an action-packed DVD that you can get. in the
Oh yeah,
later
they
elements
definitely
of it.
like made those changes. The only version that's legally available is like the 2015 remastered version.
I see.
Which still looks pretty crummy, and
Yeah.
I mean, supposedly it was meant that to be done that way, as if it had been done with like cutting edge, I don't know, 1995 home graphics, because originally it was all done on an Amiga.
Yeah, no problem. I 100%
we
guessed
kept
that.
saying like, I wonder what the original version looked like, just because we're curious, like
Right.
what it looked like before
On the DVD, there's
remaster.
actually like a little montage of a bunch of special effects.
Oh man, okay, we
I
gotta
gotta
buy.
get the
We gotta buy
DVD.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can actually see like the laser swords. The director was talking like, originally they looked good because I was going frame by frame, but after it was like day 4, they start to get much sloppier because I'm bored with this.
They're kind of like floating around a little bit,
Yeah.
but you know what? For a low budget movie, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
So Dapp learns from his commanders, I guess, that he needs to go to the planet Earth because the Phobe has escaped.
right. Okay. Does he go back in time, or is it just like a wormhole
No,
that he
it's
goes
just
through?
space travel.
Okay, so
Yeah,
right off the bat,
and
I was lying.
they do a little explanation about like what the phobe is, and he's like, it escaped, I guess, and bring it back alive. That's important. They want it.
So we should
alive.
point out that this movie is packed with public domain music.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds a lot like Pirates of the Caribbean.
There are points where I swear to God, I thought it was Hans Zimmer
But you know
himself doing
what?
the score.
In the credits, there's a composer. So I was
Well,
like,
so
did they get the
originally the score for the film was done like a silent movie and just improvised as the
God.
composer was watching it on a keyboard.
What, by Nash the Slash?
I love it.
Yeah. And that's not the version in this movie. I'm sure there's like a few cues. I mean, there's one important cue that's existed through both versions when they go to a restaurant, and we'll get to that a little bit
Oh
later.
my God.
But yeah, we thought that it was very stock music-y, not in a bad
Yeah.
way.
Well,
but-
there was
Yeah, it's like iMusic, right? You can get like a bunch of free music.
Yeah, it kind of swings between. There were moments where it's like, okay, this is clearly just a cheesy keyboard, like playing these like strings, and then it's like da 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 dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Very, very close to the
Like, not quite.
I have to say, like, all the music is very dramatic, even though.
Oh yeah, and like even if they're just like walking down the road,
Exactly.
the music is like da da da.
It's very helpful because it keeps you invested, because if it was
Keeps the
just
juice.
like, nothing, or just a very, very slow, boring score,
Yeah.
I would be falling asleep.
Yeah, that's the one thing. It's, a movie of this sort of budget and something that looks like kids did it in high school. The music can just kill it and make it unwatchable. But because it actually sounds very professional. It gets you through a lot of the scenes.
I think about something like a Death List.
Oh, God.
Have you seen that, Justin?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's just a really, really bad low budget movie like this. But they basically have the same score over and over, and it's like it's just like three notes.
Yeah.
It's just like bum, 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 for like an hour,
And you just
like,
want to kill yourself.
And it's just it's a really, really silly like slasher movie.
Can we talk about Sergeant Dapp's look?
Ooh, don't you mean John Rubik, aka the cousin of the director?
Okay. His look is
so
amazing,
good.
especially his hair. It can't be described. You have to see
He's like
it.
balding, but he also has his hair spiked up, and he kind of has a mullet.
It looks.
Oh, he kind of has a mullet.
This is the definition of a mullet.
Almost everyone in this movie has a mullet.
Everybody has a mullet, and what's amazing about it is there's a making of on the DVD. They still have mullets.
Oh my god! Oh, I just remembered at the end of the movie they thanked like a Supercuts type hairdresser, and I was like, oh my god,
For their complimentary haircuts.
they're complimentary.
Oh man, I gotta start doing that
he's
once
got-
it won't kill me to go to a barber.
He's got this like flat top, short military cut on top. That's very. He looks like the Brian Bosworth cut. You know what I mean?
And the leather jacket that he's rocking is one that he wears on a day-to-day basis.
Oh, 100%. And the camo shirt and just like everything about it is so
also,
amazing.
I mean, he has kind of like a John Belushi body type, and that's not usually.
Wow, that is a
Holy
very
shit.
Polite way to say
That's
it.
not the usual body
John
type you
Belushi.
see in the hero of your movie.
Right.
Oh yeah, I mean, you guys have missed the pièce de résistance of his costume, which are his rockin' shades.
Don't you mean a gel for a light that's been cut out
Yep,
in the shape?
It's specifically for windows, the stuff you put on windows to tint them.
Yeah.
that he has
God.
wrapped around his head.
In the shape of sunglasses.
in the shape of sunglasses, and it's kind of like taped to the side of his head or something. And
Why wouldn't they just do like a full just wrap around? Because it's like cut into the shape of sunglasses.
Yeah, it's really weird and it's very sloppily cut, and they get so beaten up throughout the movie. So by the end, they're just so crinkly.
They get
and
more crushed, seemingly. Like they shot it in order, which maybe they did.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
Well, they
Yeah.
probably had to. He threw it in his glove compartment before going home every night after shooting.
Yes, of like a pickup truck or whatever they were driving.
Yeah, and somebody would throw their keys in there, and oh god, it's so funny. So Sergeant Dapp goes back to Earth, and he gets in his spaceship, which, and I don't know if this was part of the remaster or not, but
Oh yeah, it is. In the original version, it's a G.I. Joe toy.
Well, instead of that, we have a very poorly rendered computer graphic that looks really funny.
yeah, it looks like something. They said the Amiga 2000 makes a cameo in this movie, and I'm not surprised. But it looks like something that was done in Lightwave in 1995. But his ship, especially, it's literally the Buck Rogers ship from the 1980s TV show, which was probably just downloaded from some free website or something like that. It's the Buck Rogers ship.
Yeah, so then we see it fly into Earth, and then is this the scene that we get with the two guys who are just walking outside?
Yeah,
Because
he
they're
goes
like,
into like
hey,
a
did you hear
wormhole.
something? And then it's just two guys, one of the guys.
Okay, so it's the two hoseriest hosers that ever hosered.
They
my
both have
God.
mullets. One guy has a very, very fluffy mullet and a mustache.
Yeah,
and they're
that-
wearing Molson Canadian t-shirts. What was it? Coors Slow Pitch or something?
Slow pitch.
Wait. I have a question for Colin.
Yes.
Who grew up in the 90s.
Yes.
Colin.
Yes.
Did people just rock like Molson Canadian shirts
No.
all the time?
No, nobody did. This is
Probably
so
not
funny.
where you live, Colin, but probably
Or like Blue
people
Jay
did.
shirts.
I
I,
lived in-
remember everybody wearing Blue Jay shirts.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I lived in the big city, Toronto. You guys,
Yeah.
whatever. April, you're from
Get out of the
Oshawa.
way. I have stock markets I have to invest in.
People
is-
do wear beer shirts where
This
I come
is
from.
what 1995. the styles of the people in this movie makes it look like it was shot in 1979 or something like that.
Because that's what it was like in the 90s in Canada.
The 90s. Actually, you know what? I was asking Colin, who I should have really been asking is April, because she's from not a rural town like this, but
it's not a big city.
Not a big city.
Although I think it's still classified as a city, but
but famous for its mullets and baggy pants and I guess sweatshirts that everybody's wearing.
Sure. Yeah, and people who drink Molson Canadian and Coors Light.
Right.
I was one of those people at one point.
Hey, I drank Molson Canadian up to a point.
I'm ashamed to say it. No, I'm not.
Yeah, this is your intervention.
For
April.
people who don't know, that's the Pabst Blue Ribbon of Canada. It's the lowest, not the lowest, but one of the cheapest beers, and it doesn't have very good taste.
Like that and Labatt Blue, I think. My dad always used to drink Labatt Blue.
Blue tastes like water.
Oh, it's horrible.
But yeah, so
water.
these guys have beer shirts on, and they're just walking through the woods. And doesn't the one guy scare the other guy, and he screams?
Oh, yeah.
They scare each other a couple of times.
Yeah,
it's quite funny.
This scene goes on for so long. And this sort of felt like Galaxy Invader, where they're just, we later find out that it actually wasn't the Sergeant Dapp's ship that landed. It was the Phobe's ship.
Phobe,
but one of these guys looks like Burton Cummings, the lead singer of the Guess Who. And the other guy, they both look like they're straight out of 1979, and they have the most hoser accents. But this scene goes on for so long.
But
just
everyone
walking
in this
through the
movie
woods.
has a hoser
The music
accent.
is so dramatic.
Yes. So I think the scene just ends, and we don't really find out what happens.
Oh no, they both get killed. Remember, one of them gets caught in an explosion. He's up against a tree.
Oh
He's
yeah,
"Ah!"
but do you actually see what happens to the other guy?
You do. Remember it drops something falls on the ground, and they're both
Oh right, it's like a grenade.
we recognize
Yeah,
it
and
from
he's like, "What's this?" And then he explodes.
Yeah, we recognize it from the beginning paintball scene that it's a grenade that killed.
Looks like a rubber dog toy.
Exactly.
But that's
it was made out of paper mache. It was created for this film.
Oh, okay,
or
good.
was it?
Oh man, this is like a live commentary we've got here.
I know. I just listened to the commentary, so I'm all like, I got all this info.
Well, I
the
need
second
the,
we end this, it will just fade from my memory.
I need the info. It's important to me to know everything about this movie.
So after these two hosers get killed, we meet a bunch of other hosers
Oh my
that
god.
are maybe a little too old to be in high school,
Yeah,
but
okay,
they're
so
still there anyway.
It turns into the original Degrassi briefly.
Wait, what is Degrassi for people that don't know what it is, April?
Well, it started with a junior high and then became high school. It was a local television show about kids who go to high school who deal with important issues. And it was very low budget, and it was basically they plucked kids right out of real schools, and they didn't tell them what to wear. They didn't give them makeup or hairdos. It was just very authentic at the time.
Have you ever visited the Degrassi set, either of you?
No.
And I have
It's so crazy.
I've met
It's like a
people
Hollywood set. You
who
turn a
work on
corner
it.
and you're like, I'm in New York.
Well, not then they became the next generation, and it became very glamorized. But back in the day, in the 80s, it looked like this movie, mullets and everything.
Yeah, I'd see all the actors walking around town. You'd always bump into Snake.
Oh, I've seen
Wheels.
several. I'm pretty sure Snake lives on our street.
Oh, that's right,
I
yeah.
saw him on our street.
Yeah,
once.
he lives
I don't
right up
know
the
if-
road. I always used to bump into him and Joey Jeremiah, the guy who played
Where
him.
they walk like gods amongst men.
Yeah.
Nah, they just.
Oh my God! It's Snake from Degrassi.
Snake from
Is he in
Degrassi.
the band The Zits? I don't remember which characters.
and then
The Zits, yes, the Zit Remedy.
What's her name? Spike. She would DJ. We'd always go dancing at some.
So
80s
Spike
club.
is the one who had the crazy hairdo, which
got
is
pregnant.
not that far off from the hairdo of our main character. So she has the kind of mullet where she has super, super long hair and this big mop top of curls right on the top of her head that are so teased.
April, how long would something like this take, every morning, to make it look like this?
You have to ask Colin because he's the one who
He
actually
teases his hair. Oh wait, did he have big hair in the 90s?
I used to have a huge Elvis pompadour in the 80s and 90s, and I swear I don't have the hair
the
for
80s and 90s.
Yeah, well, up to I would say mid 90s.
spanning 2 decades.
Yeah.
Yeah, spanning 2
My
decades.
hair-
From 89 to 90.
Yeah, my
2
hair is not
decades.
naturally kind of puffy. It's very kind of flat
Straight.
and limp So
See, that I can picture. I can picture you with like long hair and you're like in a grunge band of some kind in the early 90s.
No, that's not the type of music he was into.
Yeah, so I was into rockabilly and stuff like that. And so it would take...
Yeah, your ska band. You had like your little hat.
I was into ska, but rockabilly, I was into like the whole kind of like ska rude boy phase, and then went into rockabilly.
A rude boy?
Yeah, that was
I don't
like...
think I've ever heard of that.
No, it was like Northern Soul, it's called. It's like kind of English ska reggae.
Okay, so tell us about the hair.
Ska
So the hair
How
would-
long did it take to do?
It would take upwards of like an hour sometimes
Oh my
to
God.
do my hair. And I would go through like half a bottle of hairspray.
Yeah, so I obviously am of a later generation, but I don't need. Even today, I don't know how to do my own hair, so I would never be able to put that much work into it.
Well, it takes me about 2 hours every morning to curl my hair to get all those curls in there.
Each
To
individual
make it look like I
curl.
have a giant fro.
You do, but I didn't realize that was you put your head in curlers every
I
day.
just
Every
picture
day.
you in curlers, like banging on the bathroom door, like
Hey,
Hey,
get
I
out!
need to
Emily.
take a dump. No, the door would just open and we just have a conversation. It'd be fine.
Yeah, but our hero, I think her name is Jessica.
It is Jessica.
believe so,
yeah. So we meet her, and she's just talking to her friend, and they're like, "Hey, you're going to the party at the
Bunch of her
campsite?"
friends.
And he's like, "Friend can't go, and I don't like camping anyway." And she's like, "Well, if you change your mind."
If this had been released, like, I don't know, some worldwide release, they would have had to dub it like Mad Max for
holy
people
shit.
to understand.
I'm Canadian. I didn't understand. It was just
Yeah.
insane.
And then like two friends come by who look legit like they're teachers. Like none of these people are high school age.
This kind of nerd guy that she's talking to, who comes back later in the film, he looks like he's 45. Like, there's
Rob?
no way he's... And
Yeah.
they're like, playing in their lockers and stuff like they're high school.
There's actually a funny joke in this that is an actual joke, is that he's wearing like a plaid shirt and inside his locker is just more plaid
I
shirts.
noticed
Yeah, that's
that.
how April spotted that last night.
I was like, is that like they had multiple shirts for his costume and they're just in there, but now it's good to know that it's actually a joke. But we're getting to I mean, there's so many things that I love about this movie, but I think
Wait, I just want to point out one thing, though, is that like they mention a party because supposedly originally this was a slasher film with like an alien monster. And at the last minute they realized, we can't get enough people to make, a slasher film, so let's just focus on like this Terminator subplot instead.
Right.
Which is why like a lot of scenes feel very stretched out.
yes.
Right, okay.
So
makes sense.
the original script, they were going to go to that party. I
Go to a
guess,
party, yeah.
I
Oh,
see,
neat.
okay.
But yeah, so I think my favorite thing about this movie is the female heroine, Jessica.
Don't you mean deadpan Jessica?
Yeah.
Nothing. Like, I guess kind of like you, April. Like, nothing phases her.
It's true, but I gotta say, she's not that bad an actress. I think she's better than Dap. But everyone is pretty much on the same level. They're all non-actors, obviously. But yeah, even when things are scary, like, she has a very kind of...
Like, whatever. It's like, you're an alien?
I saw this
Okay,
creature
that's
tried to
cool.
kill me earlier.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I just like a bunch of like other girls walk by, like I just said, who are kind of your more typical like slasher female characters you would see. Nope, they're gone. Our heroine of this movie has a giant curly pompadour on her head.
And she's wearing a Toronto Blue Jay shirt.
She
through the
wears
entire
for
movie.
the whole movie. She has a huge, like an extra large white Toronto Blue Jays shirt, and then at one point
Specifically the 92-93
Yeah.
season, I believe.
Yeah, and then at one point she gets cold and puts on another extra large sweatshirt that says something on it. It's of the time. But anyway, the point across I'm trying to get is again, no makeup. This is not the type of heroine you see in any movie, and it's just honestly, it's refreshing. And people, we need to see different varieties of women in movies, men too, and you get that in this movie too.
It was at this point, I think, where I was texting my friend and he watched the trailer. I said, we're watching this movie. And he said, holy shit, I wonder if the lead guy is also the director. It's like one of these kind of ego projects. I'm like, no, and actually it's not him on IMDb. And he said, oh my God, I wonder if it's the girl who's the director. And I thought that would be amazing if there was like one of these vanity projects that was directed by a woman.
Yeah, but like the female heroine in this movie, it's not really about her. It's more about the space cop guy. So it wouldn't really work. But it makes sense because the director is their cousin, is the main character.
Right.
Which is just like, it's a family affair. Come on, that's the case with all of these movies.
The main woman, Jessica, in this was like married to, I believe, one of the hosers that gets murdered in that sequence when they're walking through the woods. And they just asked her, hey, we need a woman in this movie. Do you want to star in it? She's like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah, and I also like that
as long as it doesn't interrupt my Blue Jays game.
I like the love story. They go. I'm skipping ahead a bit, but they go to a bar and they dance, and it's kind of romantic.
We can't skip ahead.
No, I'm just saying.
We gotta build up to that.
What I'm trying to say is, there's not like a hot makeout scene in this either. I like the sexlessness of it. You know, they're not. Yeah. Well, maybe they're cousins-in-law. Maybe, who knows? But,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to jump too far ahead because Jessica is then just walking down the road like you do.
Yep,
just by herself
down the railway
tracks. She comes
tracks.
across a blue rock that she goes, hey, I wonder if this will be worth any money, and she just tosses it in her bag.
You mean a painted ball of tinfoil?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then she runs into Dap, who is so like cavalier and has not worked on his excuses at all.
No.
It's like, I believe his introduction is he tackles her out of the way right before the Phobe blows her up.
Yeah, the Phobe is chasing her for some reason, which might have something to do with that weird rock.
And so they escape from the Phobe and decide, hey, let's just walk casually down the street. And you get the big camera move in this film,
the money shot,
where it goes really high up.
They got a crane. They rented a crane.
Yeah, supposedly they just got like a cherry picker from like a construction company, and the guy just dropped it off and is like, "Here's how you do it. All right, see you later."
Yeah, this is like, it came out of nowhere. I'm like, how the hell did they get a crane? And then I think I actually said
giant crane too.
Yeah, they used it a couple of times, but it was so out of nowhere, and I was actually shocked and impressed. I'm like, holy shit! It got a huge credit at the end.
Yeah.
So I guess Dap is like just really friendly, and he doesn't really care about his job because he lets her wander into the woods and find a dead body,
which you don't even see.
You don't even see it. No,
we
you
were
don't.
confused the first time we saw this.
Yeah,
like,
she
what
screams.
Did she
screams at something off screen, and then he runs up with his gun,
and then
with his duct taped
Dap
gun.
and Jessica go to Jessica's house, where Dap is just like, I don't know, lazing around with Jessica's mom.
It's clearly like an older person's house.
Well, okay, so like Jessica's mom, I listened to the dialogue she says a couple of times.
Yeah.
It sounds computer generated.
She only has a couple lines, but maybe.
She's like, hello, would you like some tea?
Yeah, it's bad.
And she's not an actor.
No.
But then a cop comes to the door, and she says something. It's like the hoser accents are so funny.
My daughter is in her room. I mean, Jessica's room is horrifying looking.
This is like a horror film.
This is like a toy collector.
Yes. Or it's like a 95-year-old toy collector.
Yeah, there's
Muppet babies and like porcelain dolls.
The
as far as
California
I can
raisins.
See.
Yeah, she goes to her window, and on the window ledge is like a collection of California raisins
and some
dolls.
Plastic Simpsons dolls. I think I saw a Garfield and Odie in there.
Oh man,
stuffed
just
animals.
everything in the 90s.
Everything is just doilies and creepy dolls.
Yeah,
just
to
all
the point where
lining
we
up.
were like, this is not this woman's real room.
Yeah.
This is like a collection of dolls.
Yeah,
it's somebody's real
she
room.
has like
it's not a collection of dolls.
Either that, or she has like, a 7-year-old sister or something like that,
Yeah.
or just a crazy old grandma.
And we almost skipped one of the great moments you get in these regional movies where they're just wandering down the road and Jessica goes, it's getting kind of hot. I guess I'll put a sweater
Getting
on.
kind of cold, but yeah.
Yeah, getting kind of cold.
She puts her
so
giant
the movie
sweater
just
on.
stops for 15 seconds to see this happen.
Yeah, and then she drops her bag. It's very cinema verite.
Yeah, it's all real time. No edits.
In the moment. So I forget what happens here. Does she meet up with Dap and they just go on the run for the rest of the movie?
He shows up at her bedroom because I think the Phobe is coming to get her.
Yeah, because
right?
we show the creepy dolls, we show her sleeping, and then she hears a noise and then wakes up and says something like, oh my gosh, I wonder what that was. And then he just shows up in her room for no reason.
Yeah.
I don't know how he got there. And then he says come on, we got to get out of here. The Phobe is coming after us. So they just go on the run.
Oh, yeah. And it is a tourist view of St. Catharines.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it's a very extended sequence. They go to a parking garage. They go.
Oh yeah, they jump off and the roof blows
Yeah.
off.
Let's not.
This
come
is
on.
the scene that is full of the explosions, the little mini practical explosions, and
Right.
some CGI ones too. We also haven't mentioned before the Phobe vision, which is very, very prevalent in this movie.
Yeah, which is 100% a video toaster on an Amiga.
They have the fake titles that say like Target acquired. Or
Yeah, it looks like Terminator
Yeah.
Vision or something, but for some reason it looks like the cameraman, whoever's filming this stuff, is just holding the camera down by his waist, so everything is very
It's
low.
because they're on a wheelchair, which is why it looks like the Phobe is like 3 feet tall.
That makes
when it goes to
sense.
Phobe. Like, is his camera or does he see through his chest?
don't
I
know,
mean, maybe,
but
or his stomach.
Yeah, when he goes up to doors, it's like
That's such a good idea. So you don't get the like walking,
I guess so. Yeah.
motion.
So there's this big long chase sequence, which leads to my favorite scene when Jessica and Dab just like walk by a bar, and I guess they're like, "Oh, it's Cheap Drink Wednesday or whatever. Let's go
I know
in."
this place. You don't think a Phobe would come into this crowded room, right?
Yeah.
Probably not.
I don't know. He's
So
got a
they go and
sweet
sit
band
down.
playing.
Yeah, they go and sit down, and the band are wearing insane wigs.
Yeah.
And it's because it's the hosers that got killed in the opening scene.
Oh.
I was going to ask you, did they say in the commentary why they're wearing these huge wigs? I guess
Yeah.
that makes sense.
And so they sit down, they chit-chat a little bit, and then Jessica's like, "Want to dance?" Or wait, does Dab say let's
It was
No, I
dance?
think
Jessica.
she says, yeah.
And then like the theme is like the same one played over and over
It's a
again.
very kind of slower song.
Yeah, it's kind of like the
It's
slow
like the
funk.
love theme from Phobe.
Yeah, yeah.
And they enter like a room that just has black curtains on the outside.
Oh, that's because it's the TV studio.
Yeah,
again.
exactly.
Hey!
There's a lot of that in this movie where I think like earlier on in the movie on the other planet where they go into the sort of lead boss's office, a lot of black voids.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like, we don't have a set, so let's just shoot it in a black empty room.
It's a
So I
industry
love
secret.
that like the movie just stops,
Yeah.
so like the characters can dance in the middle of a chase.
like a slow dance.
But I
too.
also love that the Phobe just kind of like saunters outside and walks by the window and is like,
He's watching
and like
them.
looks inside.
It was probably like half price wings or something.
Yeah, he's like, "What's going on?" And then he just casually comes in.
Yeah, and then they have to, we gotta get out of here.
Whoa, here we go again.
Yeah, and then they're running, and then there's another scene. And then do they run to the steel mill?
No, they run to their
Oh,
friend
right.
Rob's house.
Gotta have
gotta-
another scene at the TV station.
No, we got to talk about the parking garage.
We already did briefly, but
this is one of the best parts.
Oh yeah, where they get caught on the edge during the chase of a parking
They
garage.
go right up to the roof.
Yes, which was supposedly when they're on the edge, it's only actually 5 feet off the ground.
Okay.
I could tell. But great production value nonetheless.
There you go. And then, so Dap looks down, and it's like, I don't know, maybe a 60-foot drop or something. He sees a pickup, and he's like, come on, trust me. And he puts like an explosive, like a sticky explosive.
Do you trust me? Classic Aladdin.
Yeah.
I would love if they just, and then they jump off, and then you just sort of cut, and then you just see them land very gently
Yeah,
into
like,
the back of a pickup
yeah.
truck. I would love for them just to hit the ground, like, and be
Die.
dead. Do you trust me? Yes.
Yeah, well, I'm an alien. I don't know how Earth's gravity works.
I should have thought this better.
And then they lose the Phobe, and the Phobe gets, I guess, caught in the explosion.
Huge explosion. where
Which
it's
is
just-
the
a
one
huge
that they
explosion.
comped in, right?
Yeah, it's just like a freeze frame
It's a
of
freeze
the parking
frame.
garage.
Oh, it's so good.
And again, it's like kind of like an action pack explosion that
Yeah.
you can get.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly in the original version, it looks like the whole building explodes, which I guess they changed because wouldn't the city kind of wake up to that
Yeah.
if there was a giant explosion?
Well, there's only like 6 people in St. Catharines
This one's
Yeah, that's
better.
right. And they're all partying down a half-price wing night.
for the band.
Yeah, who are rocking out with the love theme from Phobe.
Yeah. And then they even
So-
they even stop off at one point after that. They break into the army surplus store.
Oh, yeah.
He
They
says,
have a little
she
scene
says,
in
I can't get the
there.
door open. He goes, no worries, I got a laser lock pick. And he just shoots it at the door, and then they kind of hide out in there for a bit. And I said, this is 100% where they got like the costumes for the movie.
Very obvious.
And so they go to Rob. Why do they need his help? Oh, they need like a ham radio or something
yeah,
like that.
they've got to, I guess he has to, like, Dap has to, like, call home or something.
Yeah, superiors.
Yeah.
And let them know that he hasn't caught the phobe yet. Like, he's very bad at his job.
Yeah, he's also, like, the most nonchalant. He's like Space Cop and Space Cop. Like,
Pretty
he
much.
doesn't really
So
care
like,
about
what
anything.
I didn't realize, it takes until they're trying to contact the superiors for Jessica to be like, wait a minute, you're an alien?
Yeah, she realizes, you're not human, are you?
And then what's amazing is after this big reveal, I think Rob is like, hey, I'm hungry. You guys hungry? And they're like, oh, yeah, I could eat. And they just wander off to a cafeteria.
Yeah, that's so weird.
The station's kitchen.
Well, they show up at this guy's house and they said, can we use your dad's radio? And they make it sound like the radio's in the house or going to be in the backyard. And I thought they were going...
in, like, the shed.
Yeah, I thought they were going to his back work shed or something like that. But then I'm like, this is a pretty big work shed.
Then they're just in the TV studio.
So they're in the tape
they're in the
room.
TV studio.
They're in the TV studio, and if you look behind them, the first time we watched this, we didn't know what the hell was happening. We're like, what is that throne? There's like a big throne behind them, like a prop.
And then if you look again, there's wrapped Christmas presents.
They're like, oh God, this is the TV station, and they're about to either have their Christmas...
No, that's just the storage room.
Oh, okay.
That's
okay.
where they kept Santa's throne.
So it's Santa's chair, and they have a big pile of presents behind it that they just whip out every year.
Oh, yeah, those deceitful empty presents that are just used as a centerpiece.
Yeah.
That gave me a big laugh. That was so funny.
But yeah, and also in the back are just Sony tape stock boxes, which I
Right.
know very well, having to deal with tapes in my life. And he rejiggers up the radio, and he's like, I'm just going to do this, to do that, and amplify the signal, and there's all this like tech babble.
And then he's like, oh, wow, you're an alien? And he's like, yeah, let's get something to eat. And then they're just all sitting down at like a cafeteria table and with some of the funniest exposition in cinema history.
Yeah, it's so amazing.
Oh, yeah, the phobe is something that we created and for war. And then after the war ended, we were the xenophobes.
But it's the delivery is so amazing, and it's like
It's
he
just
clearly
awkward,
can't.
and his eyes are going all over the
can't-
place.
And all the lines sort of
Can't
end in a
remember.
question. So we're a soldier from another planet with the phobe.
Yeah. Okay, we got it. Good take.
On the wall of the cafeteria behind them, it's like this wallpaper that is like forest. It's like a big photograph of like a forest or a garden
That
or
was
something.
all the rage at one point.
It reminds me of like a Scarface. They're in an office at some point in Scarface, and there's like palm trees and stuff on the
I
wall.
could be wrong, but I think that there's a wall like that in Manhunter too.
Yeah, there might
Does
be.
anyone
Yeah.
remember that?
They need to bring that back.
And this is when we get the big reveal of why Sergeant Dapp wears glasses.
It's because
He's like, oh, yeah, my eyes, they turn yellow in your Earth's
UV
sun.
rays.
And then he takes his glasses off, and it looks like he's like squinting into a light to reveal his yellow eyes.
Yeah, it's so.
we weren't sure. The first time I saw this, I thought it was a video effect.
Yeah.
And then we thought it was eye drops. And then in the credits it says contact lenses. So
But-
it's contact
So
lenses.
the version that you watched, it has been augmented with CGI.
Ah.
In the original version, he wore very painful contact lenses with color drops in them.
But it looks like he's taken a highlighter pen and emptied it into his eyeball.
Yeah.
Because there are kind of wet drops around his eyes. And then I kind of looked it up online after the fact. I'm like, my friend went to an eye doctor once and got these fluorescent drops that looked exactly like that. It made her look like the Incredible Hulk. And it looks like these sort of special eye drops that like optometrists use. And I don't know, but it looked like it was dripping down his eyes. But
Yeah,
in
so
the
he
credits,
was-
I'm sure
He
it
was
was,
wearing
but it was probably the original stuff. In this new version, they like augmented it with CGI.
oh, okay.
So he probably had yellow drops in it, and they just made it look like
Oh yeah,
fluorescent.
he had like glass contacts in,
Oh.
which is probably why he's squinting
poor
because he's like
guy.
because it hurts so much. And then you get the most casual reveal of a lightsaber ever.
Yeah, and it's like, where did this come from?
Where he's like, oh wait, the phobe, and then he just like, stands up real slow and pulls out the lightsaber and just comes out.
Yeah, he kind of like scopes out the hallways, and you're like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, he's got a purple lightsaber, never been revealed, and then he just puts it back in, just turns it off.
Yep, no problem.
It's a very, very common lightsaber effect that you could get in like Premiere, After Effects.
Yeah, it's like the first tutorial that anybody does when they learn After Effects. I think is the lightsaber effect.
And I think they just get chased by the phobe after this,
Yeah.
right? Until they get to the big warehouse.
Well, I think the girl is kidnapped, and then
oh yeah, that's right. And Rob is like, my leg, and it's like horribly broken.
right.
Yeah, they did a little bloody wound there. Not bad. And yeah, so he gets a little beaten up, and then we get to the steel mill.
I think he's going to help him, and he says, "No, you have to help Jessica." And so yeah, this is another really long scene where he's walking down trying to find this phobe.
Yeah, and he's just walking around the steel mill, and again, the music is like super high.
Super exciting.
Yeah.
You think there was a car
such
chase.
a giant steel mill. I was so jealous. I was like, I wish I had a big steel mill like this to film. There's even sparks flying at
Yeah,
one
they
point.
had like what creates
It looks
sparks?
like they had a welding torch.
They did, and they
that was
probably
propped
got
on something.
They got permission to have it be on.
It just
in the
looked like
shot.
somebody had set it up, walked out of frame,
Yes.
and it was burning through steel, and it was
Yeah.
sparks flying everywhere.
So when I shot Teddy Bomb in a very smaller warehouse like this, the guy actually said, I can make sparks for you if you
Yes.
want. I could just do it. So that may be something that they just do all the
Wait,
time.
so were sparks in Teddy Bomb?
No, there's no sparks.
You
in
said
Teddy
no.
Bomb. Because, little tip, that climax of Teddy Bomb for the first half, everybody was working around us, even though they weren't supposed to.
Really?
So.
I was actually thinking of Teddy Bomb when I saw this. I was like, hey, the third act factory scene.
Oh, yeah, but there's this giant, and also there's like, I don't know what it would have been used. There's like a crane that goes up and down that Dap jumps on at one point, but they also put a cameraman
Yeah.
on it to get like long traveling
I'm
shots
guessing
in
it
the
was
air.
just for moving materials or stuff, but they obviously had somebody. Well, remember, Jessica like gets in the supposed like thing to control it, and she's not really controlling it. Obviously,
She probably was.
But, well, I mean, but yeah, and it's just moving slowly. But like Dap like swings on it, and he makes it look cool, and then like the phobe
Oh, wait. He makes it look cool? He looks terrified on that thing.
The phobe gets
At one
his
point,
head
it
hit with
slowly
it.
lowers to the
Yeah,
ground.
it's moving like,
And he
uh,
actually signals them to be like, I'm off.
Yeah, it's like a quarter of a foot an hour. This thing is moving.
Also, in this, in the inside part, there's like giant like pieces of like cut steel in like cool shapes and stuff.
Yeah, huge cylinders and,
Like
and
round
discs.
shapes, which again, good production value. That they just had that. Obviously, they shot in the middle of the night or something, or early morning.
For sure, yeah. But there's one point, and then he kind of finds her in a back room, hiding behind like
Obviously, in the TV
back room
station.
TV studio.
back room TV studio, behind a pile of empty cardboard boxes.
Wait, I hope I don't get knocked into them.
And then there is a lightsaber fight. The phobe also has a lightsaber.
Oh, so good.
But this thing lasts for like
the phone get a
it lasts for 10 seconds, and then Dap gets pushed through this pile of empty boxes. Whoa. It reminds me of Future War.
Yes.
Oh,
It's just like,
yeah.
let's just fill up this room with something.
Okay, so the climax of the movie is they go outside, and Dap is about to have his showdown, his final showdown with the phobe. And the phobe, during this whole movie, has been wearing a big visor mask. And the phobe goes to take off his mask, and we were like, it's gonna be Dap underneath there.
yeah.
No, it's just a bad Halloween mask.
Yeah, I thought it
Yeah,
was...
it's just a Don Doler style mask.
It looked like a homemade version of like Frank Langella's Skeletor mask from Masters of the Universe.
Exactly
Did
what it
look
looked
like that.
And it's great because you can see the guy's like eyes blinking
Yes.
underneath, like the eye sockets.
It's like pure white, and it's kind of melty looking.
Yeah, it looks really bad. But for sure, like leading up to that, I'm like, it's going to be some big reveal. You know, it's going to be a human.
Well, I also thought that maybe like phobes used to be like the soldiers that Dap were, and that they were medically enhanced,
For sure.
Which was maybe hinted at.
How good would it have been if Dap was like, brother, this has gone far
Oh
enough.
my god, that would have been so cool.
then he-
I mean, this ending is still pretty
Yeah, he
awesome,
kind of-
though, because right as the go ahead, Colin.
Sorry, he like throws down. It's like foreshadowed. He kind of tosses this like box on the ground before the phobe comes
And
out.
I'm like, oh, it's going to be another explosion.
Nope.
Nope.
It's like a Ghostbusters trap.
Yeah.
And the phone just gets sucked into it. And I was like, wait, I haven't seen anything like this in this movie before.
No, like why wouldn't you use that?
There's alien technology. Who cares?
Yeah, why wouldn't he use that before?
I don't know.
And then you think the movie's over,
Oh, no.
but it ain't, because Dap's superiors show up
In a spaceship.
in a beautiful forced perspective shot.
Oh, and this
Yeah.
model. It looks like it's made out of like
Yeah.
I don't know, like a paper
There's
tube.
a model, and then if there's a forced perspective, but then they also like comped it into a shot when they're walking out.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Oh,
this
they
is-
didn't comp it in. It's there, and they're just behind it, and they're pretending to get off.
Yeah, they see
Really?
it sort of landing on the ground,
Yeah.
and as soon as it touches the ground,
I
it
thought
just
it was
goes to a
comp.
freeze
I thought
frame.
It was a comp.
No,
Man.
yeah, it's not a comp when they walk
Man,
out.
these-
It's actually a forced perspective shot.
These VFX are so good, they're fooling me.
A professional.
And you work in
Fooled
post-production.
me, Jerry. Okay, so then so the guys from the beginning show up, and it turns out that they have nefarious reasons.
Yeah.
For
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's like-
classic
It's
aliens.
Dap's boss and then his boss, which I guess might
we
have
didn't
been.
meet before, I don't think. The guy
Yeah.
who can't stop
I
smiling.
Yeah, he looks like Agent Smith from The Matrix, and
A
he's
little bit.
clearly one of those actors that is doing this as a favor, and he cannot stop smiling through his entire delivery.
Yeah.
He's like, Mr. Dap, I wanted the phobe for myself.
Those are the best when they're just corpsing the entire
Oh,
time.
yeah, but it's-
and I think Dap is about to be killed, and then Jessica's like, "There's only one way out of this. Phobe, don't fail me now."
Yeah, and she releases the phobe.
She releases the phobe, which is choking the guy, and he's still smiling as he's being choked.
Which is very confusing because the Phobe's like, we're good now. I'm a good guy. I've always been a good guy.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, let's sympathize
Is this
with
Starship
these
Troopers and Dap was the villain all along?
Yeah, or something. But no, so Phobe kills the evil boss, and then Dap is like, Phobe, go, be with your people.
Yeah. Live free. If you love it, let it go.
Yeah, he just gives it the ship. He says, the ship, it's yours. And then it's like, "Brr."
And then Jessica's like, but how are you going to get home? And he's like, you know what? I don't mind this planet. I think I might
Yeah.
stay a while.
I am home. And he takes the glasses off. It's like, damn.
And his eyes are normal now,
His eyes are normal.
signifying that he has adjusted to the Earth's UV
He's like, oh
rays.
shit, I'm gonna die
Yeah, but he
now.
kind of looks around and he says, like, I'm getting used to this place, or I kind of like it here. It's like he's looking around this horrible, ugly steel
Yeah,
mill.
I kind of like it here.
Yeah, I like it. 2 weeks in St. Catharines, he's going to be wishing he was dead.
Well,
Yeah, he's gonna move to Toronto, and he changed his name to Colin Cunningham.
compared to Future World,
And that's only the beginning of the
That's
story.
why I wear those gigantic wraparound shades all the time.
When your eyes turn yellow.
Constantly.
Anyway, that's the movie, and then there's a really, really long credit sequence
Which
set
are pretty
to some
funny.
rock and roll,
Yeah.
rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
Rock and roll.
The fear of gravity.
The credits are pretty funny.
The credits are cheeky, which is the kind of credits I like.
Yeah, they have lighting guy, whoever was available.
Love it. I mean, it's not my favorite credits are Suburban Sasquatch, where the director credits himself 100
Yeah.
times. It's suit design by, and this doesn't really happen in this movie.
Well, it does have written, directed, story by, screenplay by, and
I like how it starts with a special effects credit because it's oh yeah, this was the best part
Yeah,
of the movie.
and they go special effects by, and there's a big
Yeah.
pause, and then 4 names come up. But the first 15 names in the credits are all Erica Benedictine.
yeah.
And then it's the next credit. It's oh, look at a change of names.
Oh, see, we got
finally.
another name. Yay, a new name. That's in the credits.
Yeah, it's pretty
Key
funny.
grip. What's that?
So this movie, according to the director, it played at their house after it was done. It took a year to make, and that was it. It didn't play in theaters until What the Film Festival
Oh, that's
2015.
fantastic.
So, do we know? Is that the only time it ever played in a theater?
No, it played in St. Catharines in 2016.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
it seems appropriate. Well, I mean, this is this should be a cult classic, and this should
for
be
sure.
played in theaters everywhere.
If only it could play on public access multiple times a day for 20 years.
Yeah, you know what they should do? Re-release it in theaters now. It's the perfect time. It could beat Christopher Nolan's Tenet into the theaters.
Oh, yeah, it's #1 at the box office.
That would be
folks.
so amazing if it's #1 at the box office, Christopher Nolan's Tenet, #2, Phobe.
we had to create some kind of pun with germaphobe, because everyone's germaphobes now. It could be the germaphobe
yeah.
film fest starring Phobe.
And then you could play John Huston's Phobia and anything that has Phobe in the title.
It's got to be something else. Arachnophobia.
There you go.
Yeah, arachnophobia. So it's just like also the number 23 because you're terrified of the number 23.
Man, that movie stunk.
Never seen it.
Coming soon to No Such
Rest
Thing
in
as a
peace,
Bad
Joel
Movie.
Schumacher.
It does have a scene where Jim Carrey performs oral sex on a woman, which I was like, wow, I didn't know I was going to see that.
At Phobe Fest, you also have Phoebe Waller-Bridge show up because her name's pretty close to
Yeah,
Phobe.
I honestly, I see the word phobe and my brain goes to the name Phoebe because it's like one letter off, a couple letters off maybe.
Yeah, you kind of run out of movies. It's like Fast Times in Ridgemont High with Phoebe Cates.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turned into a Phoebe Cates Film Festival.
But again, I can't believe that this film went undiscovered for so long. And I mean, it's definitely picked up some steam now, obviously, now that it's on DVD and people are talking about it a little. People are at least heard about it.
Yeah, I got to buy a copy for sure.
On the DVD, it also features their first feature film, Back in Black, about a time traveler who goes to medieval times.
Oh my God!
Sounds right up my alley.
Oh,
Honestly,
didn't Martin Lawrence do a film like that?
Oh yeah, Black Knight.
Knight,
I mean, Connecticut. What is it? The
Connecticut Yankee and
King Arthur's Court would be the original version of that.
Right.
then a kid in King Arthur's Court.
Right.
which is
Classic.
on Disney
Also,
Plus.
Angels in the Outfield.
I always get those two confused.
Doesn't it star the same person?
I think it does star the same kid who would grow up to be in American Pie. Okay.
Jason Biggs.
No, Eugene Levy.
Wasn't
The Pie.
so as we mentioned, this film is on DVD.
Oh, yeah.
And you should pick it up, but Tubi is a free online streaming service. It does have commercials. This movie had about 3 or 4 commercial
Something
breaks.
like that. It wasn't too
But each
bad.
break is only like 30 seconds. It's
Yeah.
not like, oh, another commercial. Like, it wasn't annoying, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, and like, good quality. Some of the movies on Tubi are better quality than others, but this is full frame, right? What was it?
It's 4x3.
Oh yeah, well, it was shot on video in '95.
It was 4x3?
Yeah. Oh, here's something, Justin, I have to ask you, because there's a couple of scenes, especially when the two hosers are going around looking for the phobe in the forest at the beginning,
Yeah.
where it goes into slow-mo. But it's
I was thinking about that too while I
not
was
the
watching it. They don't talk
strobey
about
slow-mo.
it because like videos couldn't shoot slow motion like that.
Yeah, so I have a feeling that if that was something that was redone for the 2015,
Probably, yeah, because you probably use like a frame blending software on
That's
it. You
what
can get
Colin
they
pretty
have
close slow motion.
Twixtor and stuff like that in
Yeah.
After Effects where you can kind of, because it has like a proper slow-mo, but then some shots are the stroby slow-mo. So
Yeah,
it's
which is
weird.
what you would have gotten if you had done it like on a video deck in '95.
Yeah.
So maybe some were that, and then some were,
Yeah.
hey, let's add slow mo to this scene. Like,
It's possible, yeah.
I did again. News to me. I didn't know that you could take old footage like this and make it slow mo with technology.
Well, yeah,
now.
it's still hard. Like you would have to shoot it at a certain frame rate and have the shutter speed, but I don't know what cameras they use. So.
Yeah, I have no idea.
That's another thing I'd be curious about. What cameras was this shot at?
Well, she said
Just
something in that
broadcast
article
cameras?
that I read that I guess the final one was on beta, so it must have been
Right.
Beta SP or
Oh,
something
so
like that.
man, that camera was probably huge because I used those when I was in college.
It was probably a news camera that they used
Yeah.
to use.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
yeah,
it
definitely.
was. Yeah. Another thing about that news station, the TV station, at the beginning, we're at like the Space Cops headquarters that is supposed to be like a police station, and there's like posters on the wall for like shows they have.
Oh yeah, it's movies that were playing on like whatever like HBO because they would have to put them up every month.
It's supposed to be like the police guys, and they're working on Amiga 2000s, and they have
Yeah,
like
they
Sony
love
editing
movies.
desk.
Also,
And
like
special
they're just
effects.
wearing a motorcycle helmet. At
Yeah,
one point,
it's
that's supposed to be
pretty
like a VR.
motorcycle helmet with sunglasses.
Yeah, it's just so good. Anyway, well, it was really, really fun. This is like something, it reminds me of a movie that if I was making a movie back in high school with my chums, it would look exactly like this.
Yeah, it has that kind of homegrown feel that also it's like love went into it and people cared. They're not like, clowning on it. They're not like we're making a bad movie like any of these movies. They did the best they could, and it just has so much heart and charm to it.
Yeah, it's very earnest.
And it's funny, and yes, we laugh at the low budgetness of it, and like the bad line readings, the cheesy dialogue, but all those things combine together to kind of make like the perfect bad movie.
Yeah, it's very entertaining, definitely.
Yeah, and congratulations to everybody who made this movie.
And I hope people watch this.
I mean, it's still playing on some Niagara TV station.
Some say it's still playing.
I mean, the director still works at the same TV station.
Yeah, that's
according
right.
to the making of.
Yeah, she's like a producer now.
That's great. So, as we said, you can pick up this movie on DVD from, was it Severin?
Yeah, Severin. It's Intervision is like a sub-label they own. So
That's right. So check it out. And I said Tubi TV is a free app that you can get, and you can watch it on there, you know, on your Roku or your Apple TV or your computer.
Are we like Phobe? Do we have to make a certain running time, April? Is that why we're stretching this out? Oh, we should mention, you can get Phobe on DVD from Severin.
Yeah.
And I heard it's on
Severin.
Tubi as well. It's a free streaming
Tubi.
service.
You can get it on your Apple and your...
We're in a
Okay,
time
so
loop.
I'm wrapping up. Okay, so big announcement. Next week is the Bad Movie Lottery episode. So if you are, no, I'm
Whoever
I'm looking
wins,
forward
we
to it.
lose.
And I'm looking forward to it. So whoever next week, if you are on our $2 level on the Patreon or above, you will be submitted into a draw to pick the movie for the next episode, and try and make it a movie that's under 2 hours if you can.
No, it has to be under 2 hours. And I'm going to say it has to be under an hour and 50 minutes. Because didn't we get one that was like an hour and 58 minutes? And April's like, well, it's under 2 hours.
Well, just do your best, whoever wins, future winner. So if you want to be part of that draw, go to the Patreon, patreon.com/no such thing as a bad movie, and at least $2 a month. And then if you're on the $5 level a month, you get the bonus episode every 2 weeks, a little mini episode. And next week, we're talking about that Disney movie that everyone is talking about on Disney Plus that just came out last
From
week.
Disney.
The Mandalorian.
The new season of The Mandalorian. Artemis Fowl.
Loved it.
No, we didn't. And if you want to...
Man, we haven't been angry doing an episode as much as we were doing Artemis Fowl in a long time.
it's
Yeah,
so
it was
bad.
definitely an angry episode. So if you want to also tweet us, follow us on Twitter at No Such Thing Pod, email us no such thing as a bad movie at gmail.com, and I'm on Twitter at April at Mansky.
You can follow me on Twitter at DeClueJ, DECLOUX, the letter J, on Letterboxd at Justin DeClue, same last name spelling, or listen to me every week on the Important Cinema Club podcast or the Bay Street Video podcast.
You can follow me on Twitter, Sergeant Zima, SGTZIMA, and I think the same on Letterboxd.
Yeah, getting into Letterboxd. Check out my Artemis Fowl review on Letterboxd.
Oh, mine is great. I wrote a very long
I like
review.
leaving one sentence reviews. That's
Yeah.
my favorite.
Colin is like the Pauline Kael of Letterboxd, just wordy, lengthy reviews filled with insight.
Mine was Artemis Fowl, more like Artemis shit.
Oh God.
Oh.
Maybe workshop that one.
Yeah, I
No,
mean,
I already
Fowl
posted
is
it.
right there. But I see what you did, Colin.
Whatever.
Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for dropping by. Try and stay safe. Try and wear a mask if you can when you're going out, and keep watching movies. I'm April Mansky.
I'm Justin DeClue.
And I'm Colin Cunningham, and just a reminder, Phobe is now available on DVD.
That's right.
Intervision put it out.
And there's no such thing as a bad movie. I was trying to
Keep watching movie, guys.
I was trying to workshop a new outro.
Keep watching the skies.
I'll think of something.
Good stuff.